Hello, Tom Lavecchia here with the latest edition of the Armchair NBA. There's a special live edition with former made man of the Philly crime family located in Boston. We'll get to that in a minute. Paul Tanso. Paul Tanso, welcome to the Armchair NBA. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great, and it's great seeing you again. We actually bumped into each other down the feast this summer and had a good time for a few minutes.
That's right. I saw Paul at the feast briefly, had a very nice time with him, albeit brief. I dedicated when things clear up a little bit. I'm going to make my way back up. Paul's a friend. He's been a big supporter of the show. I was on his show, him and Bobby's show. Shout out to Bobby Luisi as well. Check out the Bobby Luisi show. We'll put a link to the show there. So I'm really excited about this because I'm very excited, right? So you are the sixth made member I interviewed. I'm the only one to interview six made members. PBD has 5, Vlad has 5. I better not like showcase you too much because they'll find you and then they'll beat me out. But nevertheless, I'm really interested in to start it off. Give us like your formative years. Give me your background. Give me like from 0 to 11 who you were and that kind of stuff.
Well, first, whatever questions you want to ask, nothing's off the table tonight.
Love it.
You know, it's an open book tonight. I'm ringing the dinner bell. Let them come.
So let's start off baseline. Let's start off with your formative years. Let's kind of go from like 0 to 11, 12. You know, give us your family background, that kind of stuff.
I grew up in an alley. I should have sent you actually a picture of it. It was a small alley on one of the darkest streets in the North End on Towston Street.
Oh, wow.
And I grew up in Towston Place, and the city grew up around a one-family house. My house was built in the late 1700s.
Wow.
And they called it a hillbilly frame because they just kept adding on to it. It started off like a log cabin. And I was one of the only people in the North End that actually had a yard. And where they put the Parado up, the Paul Revere Mall, I had a 12-foot wall blocking it, you know. So I had a great yard, you know, grow all my own vegetables with my mother.
So give us your family background. So were both your parents Italian, or give us kind of that whole?
Yes, both of them.
And the North End
was Roman, and my mother was last name was Ferrara, named for the town Ferrara up in northern Italy.
Oh, wow. So Roman and northern Italy.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, my ancestors were suckled by wolves, they say.
Well, you know this North End, Brooklyn, you know, New York, the whole bit. Yeah. Very mostly, you know, the big three: Calabrian, Napolitan, or Sicilian. So the fact that they're from northern Italy, I consider Rome to be north. That's me. I get shit for that. So that gives me that kind of background. Okay, great. Give us kind of your upbringing. You know, like elementary school. Were you a good kid? Were you like a troubled kid? How were you?
When I started out kind of rocky. When I was 5 years old, my mother got her first wash machine, and I was never allowed outside the yard. I used to have a big Ridgeback, Rhodesian Ridgeback dog. So that one day, she let me go out on the sidewalk and play in the box with I used to play with knights and not, you know, other stuff. For some reason, I was into knights and castles, and I was in the box, and the older kids came by and beat it with hockey sticks, and one of them went through my skull. And they left me in the box to die.
Holy, how old are you?
5.
Jesus Christ. I grew up in a rock.
And I don't remember leaving the box. I just remember getting hit and telling my mother the lady took me home, and she goes, "You came in by yourself." And when she grabbed my hat, the blood went through her fingers, and she passed out. My uncle caught her. I used to we called him Uncle Baby. His real name was Carmen.
Yeah.
He was a real serious World War II vet. Seen a lot of actions, couple Purple Hearts. He was really more of a father figure than, you know, an uncle to me. He's the guy who always showed up with M&Ms or a Hershey bar every night when he came over.
Now, did you grow up in a 2-family household, or was your father not around?
My father was around, but I don't know, maybe PTSD, and I'm not making an excuse for that. He was really abusive towards me.
Wow.
So all the beatings came my way.
Isn't it crazy where, you know, you have like a shitty father, right? And then you get older, and obviously there's some, you know, animus, hate, you know, a little bit of resentment. But then when you get older, you're like almost humanized, and you kind of say, hey, you know what? Not to justify anything, but why was he like that? And that, and I'm pretty happy that you didn't sandbag him. You just said, hey, you know what? He did some really shitty stuff, but there might have been a reason for it, and it seems like you're empathetic. So how was your childhood? Now you get like 7 to 15. Give me kind of like how was the neighborhood? Like
I was the oddball. No one liked me. I was the smallest child in school, so I got picked on by everybody. And I grew up taking beatings either at home or on the streets. And then I figured, wow, these guys on the streets don't hit half as hard as my father. Yeah. And I started fighting back. And I found out I was good at it.
Well, I've always loved Boston. I used to stay in Jury's years ago. Now it's a Lowe's. I would always go to Cigar Masters.
I like it up there.
By Abe and Louie's. But I always try to make it to the North End. So when I made it to the North End about 20 years ago-ish, it was kind of already turned, kind of gentrified, kind of touristy, that kind of stuff. When you grew up, was it kind of nice touristy, or was it a little more rough and tumble?
It was more rough and tumble. Yeah. I mean, it was totally different. Like the best way I could describe it is when they were the kids growing up and Once Upon a Time in America.
God, yeah, because you were kind of that last transition before it turned over. So I asked Sammy the Bull the same question. When did you first get exposed to the Cosa Nostra?
I think I was always exposed to it, but I was oblivious to it because it just, you know what I mean? It seems normal. You go to the North End pool in the summertime and everybody's mother and father's there except mine. No one else has jobs. It's kind of weird. So, but the North End pool was great growing up down there. My sister Patricia Romano, who used to be Paul Tanso, she's been doing work with the Boys and Girls Clubs and all the youth centers since she's been like 16, 17 years old, and she still does it. She hasn't retired yet.
Wow. Shout out to Patricia.
And I got a lot of privileges that other kids didn't. Like I got to go to summer camp for free and the 4-H club and sheet metal working, copper enamel jewelry, woodworking, cooking, weaving on the loom, and went to a rich kids camp out in Dover, Massachusetts. I think it was Dover summer camp. And I thought it was funny because I signed up for horseback ride and I didn't know you needed your own horse. I was lucky to have sneakers at that age.
Well, so you grow up, Italian neighborhood, a little bit rough neighborhood, kind of, at best probably middle class, lower middle class, respectfully, right?
Middle class.
Have a mom to seem like a great mom. You and I talked a little bit.
Oh, she was an angel. I miss her every day.
Yeah. So with that said, high school, did you finish? And then I want to know when you first hit the street and what did you do on the street?
It's like I didn't hit the street. I was just the guy that was always doing something wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's, one time like me, Kenny, and David, we snuck in with a school into the Paul Revere house, and David dove over the ropes and jumped on Paul Revere's bed. The whole thing collapsed. We were those kids. Sneaking in the aquarium and stuff like that. And my friend Billy was insane. He used to hang off the top of the top tank in the New England Aquarium. I don't know if you've ever been there.
I have actually.
He'd wait for the sharks to come by and he'd step on them. So it was one of them things. And basically, I was out all night long. I didn't want to go home and catch a beating, so I stayed out all hours of the night. Found some other guys my age that were doing the same thing and couldn't go home either for whatever reasons. Usually the similar ones. Yeah.
So
and we stole all night long.
Okay, so you're doing like kind of street stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then when you got more serious.
Mm-hmm.
Who did you first, again, obviously you and I spoke, you're not going to mention anybody current. If anybody's passed, obviously the game. But like, who did you first hook up with in the life that was their protege that kind of took you on?
I'd have to say Paul Lanny. He passed away. Okay. He wasn't a made man. He was an associate. Yeah. And he was probably one of the most deadly guys on the streets that you could imagine.
Shit.
He was scary, you know. And another friend who's still alive and he's old, and I don't want to mention his name. I think he's losing his capacity, and I don't want to upset him. But he was a great guy, and them two always looked after me and stuff like that. And did some crimes with them and stuff like that. And we were supposed to do a score, go rob a drug dealer up New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Up in Canada, and one of the guys got caught by the Mounties on the way crossing the border with zappers and handcuffs and stuff like that. And they just turned him around and sent him home, and the whole score was called off. They knew his whole plan. Someone told on us before we even left for the ride. We were already ratted out.
Now, you're in your, let's go to fast forward a little bit even more. You're in your 18, 19, early 20s. You're done with school, all that kind of stuff. Did you have like a good, stable, full-time job, or your job was you were a criminal at that point?
I never really had a steady job. I think I worked at Felicia's restaurant for like 4 days.
My mom's name.
And then I quit. I just didn't want to go in. There was 90 degrees out. I was hanging with all my friends at the playground, the guys and the girls. I wasn't leaving. Yeah. And I made my friend call in and tell them I quit. I didn't want to deal with it. And what else was I doing? I think 17 or 18, I pulled my first score with another guy, a couple guys that were, doing scores all the time. And I remember being, I think it was 18. We robbed an arcade, and we took the safe and the money machine. We got $12,000 for the night's work.
Jesus. So as you get older, and like you said earlier, like Cosa Nostra was more kind of like that white noise, That's
when I started noticing them, like 18.
Yeah, so when I started noticing them, was the aspiration to kind of hook up with them, or you didn't really care and it happened more naturally? I want to kind of get that progression as well.
I bounced around with a lot of crews, like I hung at the Stillman, and the Fumara family ran the firework business back then. God rest JF Soul. He was the father. He did it for years, and he was a great guy. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, paid. You know what I mean? Great. I'd buy a new motorcycle at the end of the season with a bonus he gave me, and and they really took care of me. And one day JF looks at me and he goes, "I got my eye on you." He always had a little cigar in his mouth with the fedora on. He goes, "I got my eye on you." He goes, "I know these other guys are stealing. I don't know what you're doing yet, but I'm going to catch you." And I'm like, "Stealing? Wow, I never even thought of that." That I was still like, you know what I mean? I got no guile. We've talked personally, so you know the way I am.
No filter whatsoever.
I don't think of robbing someone like that. You know what I mean? I'm like, he's feeding me. I'm giving me money.
So now it's gonna get good. Somebody says, "Wake me up when it's gonna get good." It's gonna get good.
There we go.
Nothing's off limits.
Nothing.
So, walk us through how you were framed for murder. Tell us what happened.
The best way to tell the story is from the beginning.
Okay, we're here.
Because a dear friend of mine's, his real name was Vincent Lamoli, but we called him Jimmy Lamoli.
Yeah.
And he was one of the most feared people to ever come out of the North End.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in the 108 Richmond. It was, I think it was run by Nagal at the time. And it was a real classy place with a piano. And they told him they had to shut his tab off. And he was shooting the chandeliers off the ceiling, shot the piano. Yeah, he was one of them, like if he saw you and he liked you, he'd put his arm around you and drag you in a bar with him. And
Jesus.
He really took a liking to me, but at that time we were still all young and hanging around on Cooper Street, me, Billy Rod,
Yeah.
Even Patsy Baroni, a lot of people say bad things about him and everything like that, and it is what it is. He did make statements against me and stuff like that, and I don't hold it against him. You know what I mean?
That's guy informed on you.
I try to remember that summer when I was with him, and Billy and those guys, and the two guys that I got accused of murdering hung with us too. Actually, my first pinch was with them, and Patsy was a different guy back then. He was stone cold killer too. I can't say he wasn't. I mean, he shot a guy. He shot another kid during a basketball game for bumping into him when we were kids. So, but that summer he was a different person. I remember him laughing and roughhousing, you know what I mean, and ranking on each
But,
other.
well, Paul, I want to get to. So obviously, you were framed for murder, which is a big
Yes.
deal. Get arrested a whole bit.
Yeah.
But the actual incident, was it you were there, not involved? Were you not there? I want to kind of get to the.
We'll walk right through the whole story.
Please,
Jimmy,
please.
Patsy, and another friend of mine who's actually out on the street, and I don't want to say his name.
Yeah.
They went and robbed a kilo of cocaine that they knew was in a safe house above the Saloma Club on Fleet Street.
Okay.
One of the guys was a young kid. I think he was only 16 at the time, and they should have never involved him in this. These are grown men involving children. And he was driving, I think it was Frankie Salemi Jr.'s car at the time, or Spucky's, who was one of them. And when he drove around, they saw him driving the car, and they made copies of the keys. And someone tipped them off that there was cocaine up there. And to this day, I don't know who set that score up, but whoever set that score up started the mob war in the 80s with that.
Wow. So they rob this guy from the kilo. Then what happens?
Well, there was a kilo and 2 guns in the bag. It goes missing. They trying to figure out because the door wasn't kicked in.
Yeah.
And it all came out in black and white in Patsy Barone's testimony. Tells the whole story anyway. And they knew something was wrong. And they said, "Who had your car keys?" And they grabbed the guy, the kid. He was, like I said, he was 16. Yeah. And they took him down to, I think it was the Knights of Columbus, they said. And after 15 minutes of being yelled at, he just told them what happened.
Wow.
And, then one of the soldiers, a big guy, went and asked Jimmy and Patsy, who were just associates.
Yeah.
But they put a lot of work in those guys, I got to say.
Yeah.
And they denied it and denied it and denied it. And then it got to the point where their friend couldn't help them. Oh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it started a rift that started the Salemi. I hate saying his name because he's out on the street, but Ferrara war. Because Jimmy got murdered, and Jimmy was really close, to him. It was also Patsy's best friend, and Patsy set him up to be murdered. Yeah.
So where do you come in, and how did you get framed?
Well, after the school goes down, I get a phone call, and it just so happened that day I had an asthma attack, so I go to the health center.
Yeah.
Well, I'm home, and I'm calling every ex-girlfriend I know to come over and take care of me because I'm a big baby. And then I get a phone call from my best friend, Rico Ponzo, which you know the name now, right? Yeah, and he tells me I got to come by the house. I'm dying. He goes, "You got to come by the house." He goes, "It's really important." And I went by the house. And once again, I don't want to say all the names that were up Ponzo's house. I'll say me and Ponzo were there. You know what I mean? And everybody knows the other guys that are there. That's all public information. Anybody that's on a lifetime parole, I wish them the best.
Yeah.
I mean, whether I like them or not, but some of these guys I love and some of them I hate. But I don't hear nothing bad about them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Either way, because they're on lifetime parole. I don't want to mess them up.
Yeah.
And I was up the house, and basically they told me that the 2 kids that I used to hang with, Joe Botari and Frankie Chucholo, were going to kill them.
No shit.
Yeah. So they, these were grown men, taking out 16-year-old kids, grabbing them by the throat, bothering them and stuff like that.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And these guys had enough. I mean, they slapped Ponzo one time. I was passed out at a bar one time, and they said 2 guys gave me a beating. But the real story is I was sleeping at the bar, and someone banged my head off the bar 3 times and walked away. And then I got up and I went wild, and it took like 15 people to drag me out of there. So when they tell that story, that's the really story that happened. I don't remember a fight or an altercation. I didn't even know who hit me, anything at that time.
Yeah.
So things got like a little crazy after that. They're still looking for the cocaine. No one knows where it is. Jimmy gets murdered. Patsy goes to the airport with a bag load of guns from the local gun store that got robbed. That he blamed me for. That I didn't do that one either, Tom. It was my plan, but I had nothing to do with the score. And he goes to a metal detector with a bag full of guns, and he tosses them to his wife. And the alarm goes off, and he runs away, and he leaves her there with their daughter at the airport with a bag load of guns. Now it gets worse. Now everybody's hunting for the missing kilo, the guns, and there was a couple other scores that were done. There was a rug store that sold jewelry. I think it was like 150,000 in jewelry that was missing out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no alarms, no nothing like that. So, kids are going to notice that,
Yeah.
especially like when you're climbing buildings and going in stores and playing in tombs and stuff.
Yeah.
And that got taken down. The gun store got taken down and all that stuff. I guess, Jimmy had. So they thought Jimmy had the thing too. And, everybody was looking and they started threatening the kids. And the guy who's still in jail is Frankie DiBenedetto. They actually told him, I don't want to use the word that they use, but he has Down syndrome. And you know the word, you know what I mean? You know what they call him. You know what I mean? I don't want to get into it because his brother Jerry was a good kid. And Frankie was a good kid, and his brother Rocco, passed away. The whole family, a real good Italian family, right from Italy. And they told they were going to hang his brother in the shower and cut his throat if they didn't tell him where the coke was.
Jesus. Over one, I mean, a key's a lot of money, but all this for one key?
Yeah. Well, these are guys that didn't know how to make money. They could either rob or they just used to try to shake people down.
What I want to get a better feeling for before you continue, the guy that had the key was connected, but also the guys that robbed the key was also connected as well.
They were associates, yes.
Why, New York maybe operates differently. If anything, there was one family there, it should have been easier. Why wasn't there a sit down between the associates and they bring their guy? Why wasn't there a sit down to squash it?
There was, and I actually happened to be selling fireworks at the time, and I seen it. And I know Frankie Salemi Jr. was there, and he had an altercation with someone else who I don't want to name, and hands were put on each other and stuff like that. And I knew something was going to happen.
Wow.
So then someone broke into Jimmy's trunk, was parked in Cooper Street parking lot. Someone then pulled the trunk. They got all the gold. They got all the guns. They got the kilo with the other 2 guns in the duffel bag. And then they called 2 other people up to burn the car to cover their tracks. And when that happened, that brought more police down. Now they keep questioning the young kid, and they think he knows something. And they kept saying they were going to kill them. They were going to kill them. Everybody's up Ponzo's house, and they call me, and they look at me, and they're like, "You want to come?" And I'm like, "Most definitely not." And you're going to picture this now. 21 years old.
Yeah.
And the 3 guys, right? Yeah, 3 guys, all armed, all ready to go kill, all of them serious. They were already all stabbers and everything. You know what I mean? On batters. They were no hesitation to make that next step.
Yeah.
And they're asking me to come. And the first thing in my mind is I'm not getting out of here alive if I say no. That's what I was really thinking.
Yeah.
And I says, I'm not going. And I looked at the youngest kid there, and I told him, you're not going anywhere. Come over here. And one of the other guys there put his hand on his shoulder. He goes, no, stay with me. And pulled him back.
And that's when you guys went, and that guy got killed.
And at that point, I said, wash my hands clean. I'm going home. I don't want to know nothing.
So you didn't go?
No. And
so how and why did you get framed?
Well, those 2 guys went up there, and they thought they were recovering the stuff. They didn't. Put it this way. There was, they say it was a robbery gone bad. There was no robbery. Frankie Cucolo and Joe Botari went up Slide Park to recover what was stolen. They didn't have guns or knives on them. Okay. And the other
so this was an execution.
Oh, yeah. It's straight out. Someone lied to the other people involved. So they get to keep the stuff, and that's the way it went down. And these kids really thought they were fighting for their life.
So
Listen, I know the real Kaiser Sosa.
and rest in peace to the victim. What was the victim's name?
Joe Botari and Frankie Cucolo. And Frankie Cucolo.
So this was a double homicide.
Yeah, Frankie Cucolo. He was a great guy. He was a great kid back then. Great dancer. The girls.
So you knew these guys too. On top of it,
I had my first arrest with them. But gun charges and mace and phone tabs, burglary tools. We were at the Somerville Theater watching Trading Places, and someone put a gun call in on us because they didn't want us having guns, and the SWAT team blocked the doors. We couldn't get out, and it was right after Trading Places. That's so crazy. And the first illegal search and seizure case law is actually in my name. It says Botari and Tanso, where they took the keys out of the ignition and opened up the trunk. So I got the best illegal search. And there was Ken Fishman was my attorney, and Dan Leonard. And Dan Leonard wrote one of the best briefs the judge has ever seen in his life, he said. He actually complimented him on it. And that was how I made my first case law.
So, but hold on, this is important. We don't want to gloss over some really important stuff. So I understand it happened in a park, correct?
It happened in Slide Park. And I actually used to hang up there. We used to go sledding up there down the stairs because we don't have places to go sledding and stuff. So it was either the Cemetery Hill down into the iron bars or Slide Park wall down the stairs into the granite walls. So it was a place we grew up as kids and stuff like that. They got gunned down. Everybody did whatever they did. I don't know. I wasn't there, so I don't know who did what, who said what, who fired what. You know what I mean? I have no idea. I wasn't there. And it was bad. After the gunshots, as the gunshots were going on, and that's how, one of the eyewitnesses got caught in a lie watching from the window.
That's my question.
Yeah.
So who fingered you? That didn't come out good. Who pointed you out? Was it a civilian?
A civilian watched from his window, but he didn't see nothing. And they caught him in a lie at the trial and everything.
Why would a civilian say, "Hey, this guy was here" when he wasn't?
Because he was a failed lawyer, and they offered him a job as a assistant district attorney up the courthouse.
Okay,
his name is David Schindler.
Got it. So okay. So this David Schindler says, "Hey, Paul Tanso was there." Did he say anybody else was there?
He picked everybody out except me. And my picture was in the newspaper the day after I got arrested. I was on the front page of the Boston Herald, and then they put me in a police lineup. Jeez. Perkins School for the Blind could have picked me out at that point.
But
it was a railroad from the start.
Okay. So you get arrested, you get arraigned. Now I'm guessing all four of you are up for this double homicide?
No, me and Frankie were at Charles Street Jail. The other guy was really young. He was at a juvenile center. He was 16. And the other guy, there was a trigger man. And once again, he's been living in fear for 36 years. And I don't want to say his name. You know what I mean? Everybody knows who he is. Everybody can read it. There's no reason for me to say it. I made the peace with him. No. But it's common.
That's the guy. But that's the guy who flipped on you, essentially.
Well, he said it was me and not him.
So hold on. So let's just kind of build some context here. You got some lawyer who's an officer of the court says these guys are there, including Paul Tanso. And one of the guys who was there saying Paul Tanso was there as well.
Right. Who actually knew me. The guy from the window, like I said.
So you're pretty much fucked at this point.
Oh, yeah, I'm gone. And it gets worse, Tom.
How much worse can it get?
Oh, listen, it gets way worse. Now, I understand the kid was 16 years old. He was afraid, you know what I mean? And he used me to save himself. And I understand that. And I come to take terms with that. I swallowed a big lump on that one. You know what I mean? And that's it. I'm friends with him. It's over, and we're good friends now again. I haven't seen him in 36 years. Wow. But we talk, and we're planning on getting together for coffee and stuff like that. And, just talk about the old days when we used to have fun. But he's the one who put me in his spot, and the other two guys, they, what are you going to do? You know what I mean?
Hold on. So one guy flips, and how many guys are in trial for this double homicide? 3 or 2? Me,
Frankie De Benedetto, who's still doing a natural life sentence. I think he's an ordained minister too, and he's been an exemplary inmate a prisoner, whatever, convict, whatever word they want to use today.
Yeah.
You know, and they really should send him home.
And then a third guy, or just you two were on the indictment?
Me, Frankie, and the other guy was 16 years old at the time, and he went to DYS.
Got it. Okay.
And
now,
you know, his father was, you know, very well connected and was known for being one of the worst murderers in the North End.
Got it. Now, is this the case where you first get F. Lee Bailey?
No, I had Ken Fishman, TK, Dan Leonard, and Peter Horseman.
So you had like some pretty,
yeah.
So you had reputable representation. Did you have a few bucks, or that they were doing pro bono? Like what happened?
I was on a pay and go scale at that time, and they had us on a $20,000 cash bail, $200,000 surety, and the prosecutor went in and argued to raise our bail, right? To no bail.
I mean,
so our lawyers argued it like we can't even pay them. How are we going to make bail?
Yeah, good
so
point.
He raised it to $50,000, and then the three of us were bailed out in less than 48 hours.
Who put out the scuttle?
I think it was my aunt Lulu Ferrara from South Boston. My aunt Mary. All my cousins pitched in. You know, my brothers and my sister, my brother Robert.
Wow.
My sister Trisha pitched in. The only one in my family that didn't pitch in is my brother Gerald.
That's nowadays. The closer they are, the more they stray.
All right. He's no good. He had me arrested in Florida too.
We'll get to that. All right. So you blow through trial. You're found guilty on this double homicide.
Oh yeah, but before I even go to trial, here's where it gets worse. Wait. Oh yeah. This is
another drink.
This is a Greek tragedy here. Okay. We go into court. We're already arraigned, you know, before that judge, and now we go and we got a real prosecutor there, Francis C. O'Mara the third. It just so happened that he was down the North End one night eating dinner and drinking with a bunch of guys from the courthouse, but no one knew they were from the courthouse, and they were groping a 16-year-old girl.
Jesus Christ!
So two guys went at like 8 guys with baseball bats and did a number on them. You know, and he happened to remember me, shall we say? You know what I mean?
Oh my God!
To police our own, you know.
So then, what happens? You got pulled back in?
No, I didn't get arrested for that. He couldn't say that he remembered me like baseball batting him. He asked me on murder charges. They'd have to kick him off the case. So he did everything in his power to make sure I was found guilty. Broke constitutional law and everything. They even found
because you lumped them up a little bit.
Yeah, well, like I said, these are grown men in their 30s, and they walk by a girl and they're grabbing her ass, they're grabbing her boo. You know what I mean? And her boyfriend was like a year older than her, but he was a big kid trying to fight him off, and they're pushing him all over the streets. You know, and I'm very dear friends with both of them. They were childhood sweethearts who got married, and I loved them very much. And that's why I didn't say their names. And I would do anything in the world for them, you know. And like I said, your friend comes to you and he says, like, a bunch of out of towners just came by and they were grabbing my girl and failing her up. They were pushing me all over the streets. You got to react, Tom. You know
I mean? No. I'm with you at this point.
You know,
now you got to
officers of the court doing something like that to a young girl.
That's where it gets fucked up.
Yeah. So he saw me and he hated me from that moment on.
So what happens? You go to trial, or do you negotiate a plea?
No, they came to me with deals. I said, I'll never plead guilty for something I didn't do. I don't care. I'd rather rot.
Wow.
You know, and I knew I was going to lose the first trial because they kept saying they couldn't find their eyewitness because the guy from the window was useless. You know, they knew it. We knew it. Yeah. You know, and once Bailey gone, I'll tell you the funny Bailey story on trial with him. They took him apart.
No, we got to get there. I want to do it sequentially. So first trial, you're found guilty. What's the sentence that was handed down?
2 natural lives and a 3 to 5 on and after to run concurrent.
So
I'd have to come back from the dead twice to serve the 3 to 5.
What's natural life? Just you're dying in jail.
Yeah, you don't get out.
So what was the feeling like when the judge said you were going away, or whoever handed it down, you were going away for life? What were you thinking?
Well, my lawyer was already preparing for this. As the first trial was going on, he already had, I don't know if it was Dan or TK or Peter, but they were writing my appeals while the trial was going on.
Yeah, because they knew you were getting sandbagged.
Yeah, they knew it. And the guy who actually committed the murders and blamed me never showed up at the trial.
Wow.
So they got an assistant DA, and he sat on the bench next to the judge, and he read the guy's testimony to the jury, and the jury wasn't allowed to hear that wasn't the actual person who witnessed it. So I never had the right to face my accusers. Basic constitutional law.
And I'm guessing, because of the nature of the case, was this played on the media as well? Like, was it in the newspaper?
Oh yeah, every time I went to court, Paul Tanso, not an assassin, released, and you know what I mean. And my brothers and my brother Robert and his poor wife Diane, and they work for the Mass General out of the North End Health Center. They help all the elderly. They got to see the work they do down there in the North End Health Center, the Waterfront Health Center.
So
and,
so
it affected them.
How long it takes to get an appeal, and is that when F. Lee Bailey steps in?
That's when F. Lee Bailey stepped in, when we were going up to the highest court in the land.
How the hell did you get F. Lee Bailey?
F. Lee Bailey's partner was Ken Fishman.
Okay.
And Ken Fishman was best friends with my cousin Louis Ferrara, growing up. And
yeah, but F. Lee Bailey is still F. Lee Bailey. You got to walk me through that.
Yeah, and I also, while I was in prison at Charles Street Jail, which is now a 5-star hotel, you should have seen it back in the day. I was on Murderer's Row, within sight of where the electric chair used to be. The first flat tear, windows were broken, snow used to come in, birds. Place was a nightmare. It was a Civil War prison. And I'm 21 years old. I've never been away from home. So it was like culture shock for me, for all of us,
Hold on. How much time between getting found guilty and the first appeal?
I think it was 2 years to almost 3 years.
Okay, so you're serving. How was jail over those 2 years for you? How was prison for you?
Let me put it to you this way. I had my co-defendants trying to kill me.
In jail?
And their family, one of their names, I just say, Ricky Costa ran Walpole.
And these are around wise guys, or more of a
private? Oh yeah, he was the heaviest hitter up there. He was the most feared guy in Walpole, and
they're trying to kill you. They're trying to kill you in jail.
And the people, the victims' families were also associated. The Chuchulos. One of them went with my friend Jimmy Lamoli. The other one went with Frankie Salemi. The other one went with Dennis Lapori. So now we're talking about a family that's in deep with wise guys. So I had a lot of people coming.
And at this point, you're not like super connected. You got associate friends.
Oh, I'm not connected at all. I'm totally ostracized out of everything. I got people on both sides coming there to kill me, and I got some of my closest friends afraid to hang around me because they don't want to get killed.
Any fights or skirmishes in jail?
Oh, plenty. But I walked the halls. I never PC'd, and I looked them all in the eye. Wow. And I did. And this is, I got to tell you, before we go any further, I did take a lie detector test, and it was from Lynn Marcy out of Dearborn, Michigan. He was the president of the American Polygraph Society, and he actually tests for the president of the United States, CIA, FBI, and everything. And they told him he wasn't creditable, and he flipped out. But F. Lee Bailey took care of that too. And I also testified when I got a separate trial, in my own trial, about what I knew. I was at the house. This is what they said I knew.
You took the stand?
In my own trial. And I never testified against anybody. I wasn't allowed
to. Oh, no, we're going to get that. Because all questions are on the table tonight.
I took the stand. I took the stand. I got cross-examined twice. I sat there and looked them right in the eye and answered them word for word.
So did F. Lee Bailey do pro bono, or are you still paying off that bill? Because that's
Ken Fishman was sick. He came and he told me straight out. He goes, Paul, he says, I got to ask you to do something. He says, you're going to have to waive your rights because this judge is going to railroad you. And if you agree to it, then I can't protect you. So I had to waive a hearing because they never produced a witness to be cross-examined. So they let uncross-examined testimony into the trial. Plus, my picture was on the front page of the Herald before the lineup, and I was the only one that wasn't completely picked out. It was either me or somebody else in the lineup.
So for Effley Bailey being how strong he is, stronger than he was this like, was his strategy like on par? Like, I want to know, you had a big name, but how did he get you off?
I was innocent, so he didn't actually get me off. You know, a lot of people that come up to me and ask me, like, "Oh, how'd you beat it?" And I'm like, "I didn't beat anything. I wish I did." You know,
they're trying to trip you up.
I plead guilty. You know, when I'm guilty, I plead guilty. I plead guilty to the magistrate last time. I didn't want to sit in the county anymore. Send me upstate. You know what I mean? I'm guilty. This is what I did. Let me tell my story and go on my way. I'm happy. Give me three in a day. I'll go. You know, and then when I'm guilty, I'm guilty. I plead guilty. I'm not going to waste their time on my end. But like I said, I had a lot of witnesses. I was on the phone with like 6 girls that night. They all had to come in and testify.
Wow.
My friend Paul Lanny lived next to the park. And once again, he was probably one of the most dangerous guys in the North End. No one messed with Paulie. And he was like my best friend. You know, I used to have to go up his house. You know, he couldn't get out of his own way, but he was as dangerous as they come. You know, and he calls me up that night, and I click over, and I was talking to my girlfriend Terry at the time, and I says, "Terry, I got to take this." And I go, "Paul," I said, "What are you doing?" He says, "Hey, I just heard 100 gunshots come from in front of my house." He goes, "You still sick?" I says, "Yeah." He goes, "All right, stay home. I'm going to go see what happened, and I'll call you back." And I call back Terry. I says, "Wow, there's a bunch of gunshots on Charter Street." And then he calls back. He says, "Stay home. Come and see me tomorrow. I want to talk to you." That was it, you know. And I had to go see him. And
hold on. I want to stay on track, Paulie. So
I know I'm all over the board.
I don't want to say you beat the case, but finally justice is served,
right?
And an innocent, innocent finding. All right, so you get out, right?
Well, Effley Bailey came and visit me. I think I was in Old Colony Correctional Center.
He's like, I got this, bitch.
No, he walked in, and I'm like in shock, and they're like, "Effley Bailey's coming to see you." Like my mother told me. I'm like, "What?" You know, they're working on something. They think they can get you home. And I'm
you didn't have Robert Shapiro as well, right? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I had the dream team before OJ, but I really
maybe you're Khloe Kardashian's father. No, all right. So I want to because we've got a lot to cover. So you get. Well, no, tell the Effley Bailey story, then we'll move on. I can't gloss over that.
He comes in to the prison, and he tells me, "I want to take your case." I said, "I can't afford you. We have no money left. I come from a poor family." He goes, No, I want to take your case pro bono. I've waited my whole life for this case. I says, "What do you mean?" He says, "I always wanted the innocent man being charged and the guilty man pointing the finger." He goes, "This is my dream come true."
Holy shit! Now listen, I know like you're like a you're a very mild, like you don't get oppressed easy. I spend time with you. I know who you are.
Yeah.
Did you shit? Like I've been like, what the fuck? Like you had to be taken back by that a little bit, no?
Yeah, I was taken back a lot because I don't know. What is it? The Supreme Court after Superior or something, and they went before Judge Liakos was the lead judge, and it was his vote. And
they even they even let you out.
Oh, I'm the first
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, after being found guilty of 2 counts of murder, and they knew the evidence was so bad, the cops were dirty, the things they said and stuff like that. In other cases, O'Mara actually got caught taking fingerprints from some guy Griffith, who they blamed. Remember the Stewart murders where the brothers killed the wife? She was pregnant.
Yeah.
Remember first they arrested the black guy because they said a black guy did it.
Correct.
It was O'Mara who framed the black guy.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
the same guy in your case.
The same guy in my case.
All right. So Effley Bailey takes your case.
Right.
Then you get let out while you're in jail.
Yeah, they told me they told me pack up. I'm leaving. I thought I was never going home again. I was just ready to stab people for the rest of my life.
You weren't found innocent yet. You were let out even before, correct?
Yeah, I was released back on bail because of all the mistakes that were done. My constitutional rights were violated. My picture was on the front page of the newspaper. Before I was in a police lineup. and there was a lot of other shady things. My clothes that the police took out of my house, my leather jacket, my pants, like they took a whole bag of laundry and they wanted to test it for gunpowder or blood. So my mother goes, all his laundry's in the bag for the whole week. I haven't done it yet. So they take it. They don't get around to testing it. F. Lee Bailey says, I want to have it privately tested. F. Lee Bailey sends it out and has it privately tested. Wow. Everything comes back clean. I take the lie detector test. I passed with flying colors.
Wow.
And he told me no one would.
Did you do the thumbtack trick? No, I'm just kidding.
No, there is no trick with this guy. Trust me. Because me and him had some banter. And I'm in prison. I'm in the Charles Street jail at the time. Yeah. So we're talking. He goes, we're going to work with some cards. And I'm going to show you how I know when you're lying. And he nailed me every time when we were doing the cards.
So, okay. So you're found. I don't want to minimize it because a lot more to just cover.
Yeah.
So you get out. Who's the first person you killed? No, I'm just kidding.
Funny you said that.
Well, actually, no. So I don't need any more of my podcast being used in any court submission. So we'll leave it at that. Okay. So you get out. You're probably broke. You're 20-something years old. What do? You hook up with the wise guys right away?
No, I couldn't. They were all trying to kill me. There was no hooking up with anybody.
Then what?
Even my friends, they threatened my friends to stay away from me. They said, if you're with him when we kill him, you're gonna get killed too.
And these are all patriarchal guys, right?
Yeah, patriarchal. Yeah, Salami was with them and all of them at the time.
Well, the problem is you're like a North End guy, like literally,
and well known.
Yeah. So what do you do?
Know my family name because of me. Because of the things I did growing up.
Can you you gotta leave the North End? You go to North End, you gotta hide. You can't get.
No, I came right out of my house. Well, went right up the corner where everybody hangs, sat there. A lot of guys moved away. Some people talked to me, some people didn't. And I felt out the situation. And then I think the couple of weeks, probably a couple of months later, like a month later, we have this place called the Gassy. My friend Anthony Farrakano does Northern Stories. He writes he did a whole chapter on the Gassy. We used to have the best times, keg parties up there. Yeah. And so there was 5 younger guys, 4 or 5 of them up there waiting for me to show up and go up there drinking where all the guys and girls hang. And before we go to a nightclub, we used to go there drinking first.
Yeah.
I don't have a gun. I don't have my bulletproof vest anymore or anything because my brother Gerald stole them out of my house while I was in jail and sold them for money. Yeah. I was the first kid in my neighborhood having a bulletproof vest too at 17. I just want you to know that. That's a whole other story. And I come out, and a 13-year-old kid who one of the older guys, taught him how to smoke crack. I took him under my wing and kept him straight. And, he happened to be the godson of someone important, and he always.
So that kind of bought you some time.
Well, it didn't buy me time. The guy couldn't do nothing for me. You know what I mean? They had their mindset. That's it. They'd send crash dummy after crash dummy at you. You know what I mean?
Wow.
It's easy.
Were there any physical attempts on your life, or just more staring and talking?
Well, like this one right here, So he comes and tells me they're waiting for me. He told me everybody that was down there, and these guys, either 2 or 4 of them, 2 at a time. I know 4 of them went up to visit some of the guys in Walpole, and they were asked to take me out. And these guys used to be my friends and part of my crew. So now I know.
At this point, are you packing a piece? Do you have a knife? What are you doing for personal?
No, I couldn't even buy one. All my connections shut down. No one come near me. They were telling everybody I was a rat. They hit me with the rat label. So I went to the old service merchandise. You remember those?
Yeah. I do remember those. I'm not old.
I bought a cap and ball revolver kit. Put it together.
And you made your own gun?
6 shots, like musket balls. Walked up to the top of the flight stairs. And you got to remember now, there's a 13-year-old kid following me. I'm telling him, go! And I'm yelling at him. But he loved me so much, he wanted to make sure I was okay. Yeah. And I turned that first corner, and I pulled out that big Josie Wales, and that was it. Boom, 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 just over their heads. You know what I mean? Wow. To let them know I wasn't playing games. When the smoke clears, and those things make a lot of smoke, they were all on the street, like 200 yards away.
Wow.
Yeah, they
All
didn't
right.
want to make
So,
fun of me.
so how did that kind of blow over? Obviously, it did over time. Like, how did that all like blow over where you kind of got back
Oh,
to quote unquote normal?
yeah. I was going to court for 6 years after that. Yeah, so it had to be 3 years in, 6 years out, you know, and the 6 years I was out, it was rough. I had a lot of people waiting in front of my house. Some nights I used to have to climb the wall in my backyard from the other thing to go home at night. You know, it was crazy.
Wow.
You
So,
know,
so how did you get hooked up with the Cosa Nostra? Like, at that point, you're a street guy, but how did you get hooked up officially?
officially,
Yeah.
I think in '95 when I started hanging around with Bobby's cousins and them. Right after the '99 happened, his cousin asked me like, "Oh, we were childhood friends, and everybody's dead. And we don't get along. Like you don't even care." And he got a little flip when he came to my house one day with one of his cousins. They'd never do that again.
So, so did you kind of hook up with them because you wanted to get in, or just more of a natural?
No, I didn't want to get in. I even turned it down the first time. I didn't need it.
Really?
No one ever shook me down. No one ever. The only one that ever robbed me was my ex-wife and her boyfriend, and I was locked up. And
All right.
and my former friends.
Well, that's usually how it is. All right.
Yeah.
Before we get into you hooking up with Bobby and that kind of stuff, what was your street rackets? Were you on drugs? Were you like what was your earn? What was your major earn?
Well, part of the deal for me coming home was I had to get a job, which was something I wasn't used to.
Yeah.
I think I was 25 when I came home. And I got a job at HP Hood's milk company, and I met like some of the best people in the world. And no one would deal me drugs because they were scared to, because the other guys would come down on them, or because they thought I was a rat. No one would sell me guns for the same reason. You know what I mean? So I really had to like do a real entrepreneurial shuffle here. So I started off by moving like stuff that was boosted, stolen and stuff like that. I'd be taking duffel bags of stuff in at night to hoods and selling it to the bosses.
Wow.
And then we made more money. There was a place called Billy and Felix's. You might remember from back in the day. They made the best subs.
Yeah.
And we had the keys for that. And I worked the overnight shift. So I used to call my two friends. We'll just call them the Buzzard and Bass.
Yeah.
Because they got good jobs. They're good people. And I don't want to get them involved in anything. And they stood by me, and they had nothing to do with the life, but they never let me down. Wow. And they used to meet me outside the store, and we'd go down, open the place up, go down at night. We make big like gift baskets.
If you don't
everything, I'd fill up my car, I'd drive them back to work, and we're selling them for $100 a piece. You get like a $300 worth of food in the basket.
If you don't mind me asking, Paul, I'm trying to think peripherally as well. Family was there for you by bailing you out. They knew you probably were innocent. You got innocent.
Well,
but you also a little persona non grata in the neighborhood. How were you with your family when you were out?
Let me see. I hate my brother Gerald. I hate my sister Angela. Me and my sister Tricia, we talk, but it's it's one of those it's very sterile conversations. But I love her. You know what I mean? And I'll always be there for her. And my brother Robert's my savior. He was like a scholar and jock in the family. He did everything. Scuba dived all over the world with every different type of.
But like dumb question, but like you're out. Were you invited to the christenings and the weddings and all this stuff, or like when you got out, people in your family that were close with you, did they push away?
The Ferraras stood by me through thick and thin. My father's side of the family and my brother Gerald, not so much.
Got it. Okay. All right. How did you hook up with Bobby? Because we have some questions we're going to ask. We're going to get to. So everybody, for questions, I don't mean to. I don't want you to think I'm ignoring you. I have a kind of a planned arc for the interview, and so save your questions to the end. I also have some questions that we're writing. So how did you hook up with Bobby, and how did you get involved with Cosa Nostra?
After the '99, everybody got killed, and Roman was actually like my closest friend when we were little kids growing up. We were like South Park growing up.
Oh wow!
It was like me, Roman, Caesar, Ricky, Dante. There was a whole bunch of us. Jamie. you know, we were like the Goonies, and wherever I found a place to explore, they'd follow me. You know, I'd be throwing like the old butcher hooks with rope on them through the windows in Ghost Town, climbing up the
Baby
wall. Baby Ruth.
So you hook up with Bobby's cousin now, like because you're kind of getting a little closer to the fire, right? Like Bobby's a serious guy.
Well,
You know, he's
I
got
had
your
to make
Bobby.
a decision. You know what I mean? I am by myself. I'm moving a lot of weight. You know, I had the biggest arsenal in the city at the time.
Yeah.
I use the word arsenal loosely. It's
No,
like,
I know.
if you ever saw the thing, you know, I think Tizzy's family was telling you some of the stories. What are the routings? What are the routings for?
I got some of it. I always get worried about statute of limitations myself, so I don't want to say anything. All right.
Yeah.
So with that said, you hook up with Bobby's crew. Now you got a little protection, a little swag.
I
What
went in with his cousin Ricky, and the first week, you know, I was, you know, getting whatever from him at the time, you know, and that was my business. I was moving coke in pot, you know, and I think ecstasy at the time too, because that's when it first hit. We even had our own brand label. I had the Skull and Crossbones. Everybody knew those came from me. I used the death head.
You had like branded, So what is it now? They call it Molly, whatever. Now it's at the time.
But we had our own symbol. Anybody got the Skull and Crossbones? They know they were mine. They knew they were good.
I know you do. Now, for you, kind of hooking up with Bobby's cousin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, you were kind of used to being independent. Did you like, you know, now you get a little protection? Did you have to kick in a little bit? Or
no, I never paid anybody anything.
Really?
Oh yeah, I'd go toe to toe with you before I give you a dime. If they want something, if they tell me, oh, I'm making money, and you know they're supposed to get a piece, I'll tell them get in the car and come with me. And none of them ever do.
now I get a little fascinated when I hear kind of the story and progressions of a guy who's a street guy and how they progress into Cosa Nostra. Because to me, you know, Cosa Nostra is like the Ivy League, the Yankees of the criminal underworld.
How did I get into didn't have it? I remember you told me that.
That's right.
And I got into there too.
If you guys remember this from the NBA and Buntman, I calculated the acceptance rate in La Cosa Nostra in New York, at least for New York, probably every city, is harder to get into than Harvard University. I think their acceptance rate is 4%. Cosa Nostra is like 0.01%. I did the math in one of the old episodes. I can always do it on the community. So you know what? So you're the Harvard, aka Cosa Nostra grad. So I want to know how you kind of went from being an associate with Bobby's cousin to getting hooked up with Bobby himself.
Well, at the time, my trial just ended.
Yeah.
I'm in jewelry school. I'm engaged to a beautiful Irish Catholic girl named Karen Stone from Mefrip.
Nice.
And we were planning on getting married. And then I get that phone call. My mother got 6 months to live. She got pancreatic cancer.
Hey.
My plan was to go to school and spend the rest of my life with my mother traveling. That was our plan. Me and my mother had this all planned out.
Wow.
So when she passed, that was it. I just didn't care. There was that hole in me, like that void. Nothing.
So you wound up not marrying Karen.
No. Biggest mistake I ever made.
And then you got into deeper with the criminal life.
Well, yeah, with his cousin, because his family just got killed, and we were actually not me and Bobby, but me and his cousins, who were best friends as children, were actually enemies at the time.
Wow. So aside for the Gardner heist, what were the other scores? What were the other scores that Bobby's cousin and you were doing?
Bobby's cousins never did it. They weren't score guys. You know, we did little things like we'd go and they put a brand new like sunglass place in the neighborhood. We'd smash the windows, take all the displays. If they put the big magnums of Pierre Jouet and Dom Perignon in the windows, we'd smash the windows and run away with like $1,000 bottle of champagne.
Now, I had the pleasure of interviewing Bobby a few times and spent some time with Bobby as well. But Bobby was kind of like went to the Cape. Then when things weren't where he wanted them to be, he came back, right? Always had a name.
All those years when he was down the Cape, this all took place.
Well, that's my thing, right? Like he came back, right? Although he had a name, let's be honest.
Yes.
He was growing in stature and power. Yeah. To him, was he Bobby Luisi yet, or did he grow to become Bobby Luisi to you, Paul Tanso?
In the North End, it doesn't matter. Everybody down there knows you do not go up Michelangelo Street looking for a fight.
Yeah.
You do not. That's okay. That's the one place in the North End you don't want to go pick a fight.
And now you get like Starbucks and scones, but back then I got it. All right.
And then I hooked up with him. I started moving
You ain't skipping over this one, Paul. Give me your first in-person meeting with Bobby when you started doing some real business, or when you first met Bobby. Give me how that meeting went.
I haven't seen him in God knows how many years. I think it was 95, 96, the latest, And he comes over and he smiles. He goes, "You gonna stick around and hang with my cousin? Keep an eye." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll keep an eye on him." And he's laughing. We're joking around, and he was with a couple of Salemi associates. I think Salemi guys. Real guys. They were made and at the time and stuff like that. And he already was with those guys.
Yeah.
So he was already my go-to guy at that point.
So when Bobby first, you heard, right? Because Bobby's has leadership quality, great guy.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Paul, I'm going to go get straightened out with Joey. I'm going to become a Philly guy. Just hang on. I got you. Yeah. Were you thinking this guy's nuts? What were you thinking, him kind of partnering with the Philly guys?
I told him he didn't need it. No one's coming.
Yeah.
And you've seen me, Tom, walk around the
street. I know.
You see me. I don't duck.
I know.
I'm a dark holiday every day. I'm your huckleberry.
So when Bobby got his button and then he started making guys, I know a few guys he made, which were you? Were you 1, 2, 3?
I was in the second crew.
Got it. Okay.
But I already knew I was proposed.
Got it. Okay. How important for you at that point was it? We'll get back to it. For you to be in Cosa Nostra, because Bobby was in now. Like, did that raise in value because you want to be because Bobby was there? Like, I want to kind of get a feeling for what you were looking to do.
No, not at all. Like everybody,
you're like whatever.
I had a bad temper with violence. I'm more of a guy that'll leave you in a puddle of blood and make a snow angel. I don't believe in killing people. It doesn't teach them anything. So if you like that one,
you can't beat them up again. All right.
Now, it ain't that. It's you bring the heat down, you enrage their family, and I'm a Sun Tzu guy. All those other guys are Machiavellians. I've read Machiavelli.
Little different tactics. Yeah, I get it. All right. Okay. So
I'm sorry, Tom.
That's good.
I haven't seen you. I'm having a good time.
That's all right. I'm going to be up there soon. After the baby gets old, after May, we're coming out. My wife's coming up. Probably with the kids probably at that point.
Oh, I can't wait. I got a couple new friends for you to meet. One of our friends, Big G, he's great. Oh man, he's watching right now. All my friends, they're all watching.
And thank you for those. I see some new names in the chat. I think they are some people that are watching you. If you guys don't mind, take a second to subscribe, like the video and subscribe. Getting close to 10,000. When we get to 10,000, Paulie and I are gonna go out and beat somebody up. Just kidding. So all right. So Bobby gets straightened out, and then now listen. I know I don't think you're downplaying it, but it's a big deal. Now Luisi's straightened out. He's a big name. He's a good dude. He's a friend of yours. You're doing stuff. What changed after that? Like, did you get into bigger stuff? Were Bobby supplying this stuff? I really want to get a feeling for what happened next.
It was a weird series of events that happened.
Okay. Always is.
His cousin was doing a business with an informant, Willie Mash, who was a CI confidential informant.
Yeah.
And I seen him and Ricky talking, and I says, and he's like, "What?" I'm like, "He's the one who put my last partner away for 12 years, Juju."
Yeah.
That was my partner before Ricky, I go, "He put him away for 12 years. He got an extra 2 years for a gun. They never even found." I says, "He's an informant. I can show you in black and white. I don't ever want to be around when he's there." "Oh, no, never mind. And he wanted the money more than listening to me. And if he spread the word to the other guys like you should have, it wasn't my place to approach Bobby and overstep other people that were his cousins and stuff like that. I said what I was supposed to say to the person I was supposed to say it, and it was upon them to tell the other people. And some people went to jail over that.
Wow.
You know?
So, but hold on. Let's get we're on the track of trying to get.
You could never write this in a book.
No, I know. I'm packing in a lot of years in about an hour and a half. So, all right. So next up, Bobby gets straightened out. Mm-hmm. How much time before you get straightened out after Bobby did?
I think a year.
All right. So again, I know you can answer some things. Obviously, whatever your comfort level is.
Yeah.
One question I got privately and publicly: where did you get made, and who was at the ceremony?
I'm pretty sure that's all public knowledge. I know Bobby was there. There was another captain from Philly, and once again, he's on the streets. You know what I mean? And without saying his name, I just want to tell you, he's a straight shooter.
Yeah.
He told me, he actually pulled me aside like two times that I met him. He pulled me aside 3 times and told me, you better not be dealing drugs. Wow. And the first time he told me, I stopped. And the second time he told me, I said, I heard you the first time. And then the third time he told me, I said, enough with the stuff. I said, I already told you. You know, like what kind of,
But were you?
No, I wasn't.
All right. What year was that?
That had to be like right around the end, right before Irish imports with Bobby and everything like that.
96-ish, 97-ish?
Yeah.
All right. So,
and one of my brothers actually asked me for my customer list, so I wouldn't have it. Meanwhile, he took it to go deal to them.
All right. So, right.
The trail is horrible in this way.
All right.
You know what I mean?
So Bobby's there, a captain from Philly. Mm-hmm. Who else was there? Again, you can give titles. You don't give names. Who else was there?
One of his cousins, the Blur. When I went, a couple other Philly guys. We did the whole, Cincinnati shuffle from hotel to hotel. Everything was under my credit cards, anyways. It wasn't. It wouldn't have been a take a rocket scientist to track that down, And then we went back to one of the hotels. We went downstairs and had drinks, and some guys walked around and looked at their finger like they were ET.
You got your finger pricked, obviously, right?
Oh yeah, it turned black too. I was miserable.
Hold on. Again, got a little crazy. But who else was there in title? Was a boss there? Who was there in title as well?
Yes, there was actually Bobby, a captain from Philly, and supposedly another captain under Bobby.
Okay. Now,
there was actually 3 captains there.
Now you're now made, right? How did it feel? What's the first thing you did as a made guy?
Got drunk, went home, fell asleep, woke up the next day, went to my classes, whatever school I was at the time. And
so for you, like the button was an accessory, literally. Like you didn't care as much as obviously a lot of other guys did.
Oh.
Yeah, but you didn't care that you were part of maybe a fraternity, that you were untouchable.
No, I cared because I love them. They were my, you know what I mean? You see how much I love Bobby. Bobby's family to me. You know what I mean? I just wish, some of our other friends looked at it like that. They wouldn't be where they are without them. I hate people who betray their friends.
Business-wise, when you got your stripe, I love you to death. And I it's funny, guys. He's not downplaying it because he just really, this is how he is. Like he's really downplaying it. Not that he think it was a big deal. It's just he just didn't think it was a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, and that's how Paul is. I'm gonna pull up. So I'm gonna first do questions from the community, and then we'll get the questions in the chat. So I can't see the screen, guys. So just forgive me. So don't write any bad things about me or Paulie yet. All right.
Send it. Tell them send it. I'm ringing the dinner bell. Come and get it.
There you go. Oh no, we'll get there. All right. So, okay, who was present at the ceremony? We got that. What were the circumstances for you leaving the life? We don't really know much about that. Why did you leave the life, and what were the circumstances?
When Bobby got arrested, everything fell apart. The supply and the money and everything. Everybody was just grabbing for themselves.
Yeah.
So I just kept all the poker machines for myself. You know, some other wise guys try to take them away once or twice, but that's another story for another show.
But you're a made guy.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
Got
I played a game of Russian roulette in front of two of them. And I told them, when you can do that, put the napkin on the gun. I slid it across the table in Rosina's restaurant. I was sitting with Frankie Pizzarella and Tony Antennas. And I think, oh my God, what was his name? Tony Sneakers was there, the old guy. He found my had a shoe store in Winthrop. And they all just looked at me. And Frankie, he grabbed my hand. And the two guys got up and walked away. Because I just said, put one bullet. Boom. I said, when you do that, come and see me.
Well, let me ask you a question, because you're a little bit of a wild child, right? But you also were a made guy, and generally made guys, the theory is you're a little more docile, a little more pensive. You think before you act. Were you causing headaches for Bobby and him having sit downs every other week because of you, were you a little crazy but you weren't in trouble?
No. But if you say me to do something, I'm going to do work for you. Tell me to go open up someone's head, I'm going to go open up their head.
That's what you do.
That's it. You know, I used to walk around the corner. I'd go into the hardware store. Oh, my God, it was Sid's. And he had him and his wife ran a little hardware store. And he was also a court officer. And I'd go in there, can I borrow the pipe wrench for a few minutes? I'll pay you when I get back. He'd be like, should I bring you coffee tomorrow? Because he knew something was going to happen. Wow. You know? I'd walk out of my house, stop there, pick something up, and go do what I had to do.
All right. So, okay. So what were the circumstances of you leaving the life, and why did you? So you gave the why, but what was the circumstance? You can't just write a resignation letter. Walk me through it.
I know. His cousin Ricky was still serving time for dealing with the informant. Sean was away. Bobby Carosa Jr. was away. The whole crew was in disarray. And the people he left in charge, I'm bringing money, I'm dropping it off, and it's not going to where it's supposed to.
Got it.
So I said, screw this. I'm not coming in no more. I'm keeping the machines for myself, and that's it. And we want to pay. Just, no one's getting anything. They're mine.
Wow.
And then he gave me a phone call one day, and he says, Paul, something bad happened. He says, you're going to buy me some time, because we were still talking on the phone. He was at Plymouth, I think. And I says, whatever. He goes, just make sure my family gets out of the house safe. I says, okay. Anything else? He says, no. He goes, then just, make yourself scarce for a while. He goes, shit's going to hit the fan. And
were you allowed to speak to Bobby at the time, or was Bobby still okay publicly?
Yeah.
Wow. So Bobby kind of confided in you.
His family was getting threatened.
No, so he could
before anything. Yeah, before any of the other stuff happened, his family was getting threatened. They were threatening women and children. I don't
get out of here.
Yeah. You seen the Harvard documentary. You heard it right from Terry's mouth. They threatened her not to come in as my witness. They told her they were going to kill her and her daughter.
Was this the Patriarchas or the Philly family?
It was some of their associates. There's a couple of guys and, a lunatic by the name of Ricky Costa. And that's, that's the way he was.
Jesus
the story
I heard it, but I never really absorbed it that they went after.
Do you remember when they killed the mother and father at Christmas time and they put the two babies in the room years back? That, yeah. Payuka, the family was.
Yeah.
Bob, they used to call him Bobby Small was his nickname.
Yeah.
But it was really Bobby Payuka. They killed him and his wife, and thank God there was one guy there who knew enough to hide the children, because the other maniac would have probably killed them too. And they never found the money. It was under the present under the tree. But those are the type of guys I was dealing with,
Wow.
So,
so what did you do? You skipped to Florida? You hide out in Boston? What did you do?
I never left the alley on Charleston Street.
And you're not kicking, so you're making money, you're not kicking up anybody at this point?
Never in my life.
And nobody's reaching out to you saying, hey, where's my kick?
Nope.
So you're out, essentially.
If they, even before that, even growing up, if they told me, yeah, go meet me over here, and they won't come.
Wow. Okay. So
I had a bad reputation. I was not that I was a mean kid, but I had no off switch. I set my sights and I got my mind set on it. It's game time. And I'm glad I'm not that person today. And I'm still in therapy, and I got a great psychiatrist, and we try to work this stuff out. And he's amazed that I'm in such good shape mentally and physically after everything I've been through.
Well, okay. So now Bobby goes away, right?
Yep.
And then obviously does what he does.
Right.
What's your next move? Didn't you go to Florida or something?
When that happened, I was worried because I didn't know how far down the dominoes were going to fall, shall we
Right.
say?
Well,
Because
let me ask you. Hold on.
Bobby.
Let me ask you a blunt question.
Yeah.
And Bobby knows I have the best intentions here.
Mhm.
Were you worried about Bobby informing on you?
Never.
I'm just asking.
Never even entered my mind. Never even entered my mind. He told me what to do, and I did what he told me to do. And that's the oath I took in that hotel room that night, was to follow him, not to follow guys from 300
Well,
miles.
you were respectfully, not a bad thing per se. You were more loyal to Luisi than Cosa Nostra or the Philly crime family.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm loyal to the North End.
Got it. So when Bobby does his thing, what do you do then? Do you stick around?
Yeah, before that even happened, like right after the pinch, I got someone to get me a Penske truck, put the gun safe, the Harley, the furniture, everything on the truck, wiped the house down, left the phone on. So if people are calling, they know the phone's still active. Had cleaners come in and re-clean the house again after I was gone, and drove that truck all the way to a reservation in Arizona where they can't get you. I was under the protection of tribal law. They had to get a liaison if they wanted me.
But so who? Just so I understand the context, who would have went after you theoretically? Would have been the Patriarchas. Could have been.
No,
guys.
Feds. I wasn't worried about those guys.
Oh, so it could have been an associate trying to make a name. Could have been a past enemy. It could have been anybody.
Yeah, but I was more worried about the feds and who else was going to rat. You know what I mean? I always have that in the back of my head where I got framed for something, not once, but twice in my lifetime for something I didn't do. You know what I mean? That's my biggest fear. And the person who did it to me the second time was my ex-wife.
Got it.
She played upon my worst nightmare, just to rob my house. Which
typically ex-wife scenarios usually end up poorly. Okay.
You know why divorce is so expensive?
Because it's worth it.
There you go.
All right. So let's go to the next part of your life. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, Bobby, I think, was in Tennessee. When did you and Bobby hook back up?
Not until I found him on Facebook on Alonso Esposito. I never went on Facebook yet.
But he was Alonso
Esposito.
Yeah.
And I called him from Florida. I was living down in Florida at the time.
Oh, but how did you find him? He had a different name.
Huh?
How did you find him? He had a different name.
How could I miss that face? He's like a young
what I'm saying is, how did you find that face?
It came up under the things, how they pop up. I'm horrible.
Stop it. So the algorithm basically outed Bobby to another guy that, thank God, was his friend, because otherwise it could have went really poorly.
No, it went. It's not like it was.
I'm just having fun. I know Bobby's listening.
Yeah,
having fun, Bobby.
He's in the bedroom.
My
beautiful, came out.
my beautiful wife is on. My beautiful wife is on, and Paulie, you will get to meet her when we come visit you in the North End. Or you and Bobby always have an open invitation to come down to New Jersey. You guys know that already, but the invite is there. All right. Okay. What about you hook back up with Bobby? You moved back to Boston.
And did the John A. Light show. That's
right.
We did Johnny A. Light show.
That's right. I'm not gonna lie. You sat there, right? And I didn't know you were a maid. I didn't know that.
No one does. I never talk about it.
I knew you're their friend. And I'm not gonna lie. I said to myself, this guy is either the nicest guy, or we'll put a pick through through your head, and it'll come out the other side, right? So then when I met you, what did I find out? You're a nice guy, but you would still put a pick through somebody's head.
I would never raise my hands to anyone.
You'll go into a busy street to save a puppy. I'm not saying that, but I also would not want to get on your bad side either.
You could never do that. I love you, Tom. I'm looking forward. We got to go to the Pine Barrels if we're going to New Jersey. I want to go ghost hunting. Let's
Well,
have a normal show.
I ain't going hiking with you, my friend. Just kidding. All right.
Bobby won't come in the woods with me either. I'm on the tuna boat.
All right.
It's not for me to get guys to come on boats with me. I don't understand why.
So you do the Johnny A. show. Shout out to Johnny.
Mhm.
So John, you do the, you know, like you're not a media guy. You're hanging out. Like what? Like to you, what is all this? Like, is this like fucking like to Paul Tanso, the guy who grew up in the North End, in an alley, around wise guys, around street guys. You're now on YouTube talking to some idiot from New Jersey. Like, is this surreal?
You're one of us. You're like a brother. Come on.
No, I know.
You're a brother to me, Tom, all the time.
I know.
You got my respect.
What I'm saying is, all joking aside,
yeah,
the YouTube aspect has to be pretty surreal for you, no?
Yeah, I'm not like there was never any pictures of me. You know what I mean? There's really none. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm not, photogenic and stuff like that, and I don't fit the normal criteria. Like, I do my own thing. I'd rather be out fishing, hiking. I just came back from dog sledding up New Hampshire.
So now I know you addressed this, but well, let me get to the questions, and then we'll go to other stuff. Okay. Bruce City. Okay. Bobby, one more time. Blah blah. Let me just see. Maybe only the Hollywood media can explain. Paul likely can't, but I love Bruce City. He's a little verbose. He writes a lot of things to get to a little bit. How attractive and unique is a street layout and architecture in North End with its rich mafia history? Why so little non-existent media attention been paid to the North End? I actually want to rephrase it because I think about this all the time.
The architecture is incredible.
Well, not just that. The North End, it's weird. It doesn't get like I was the old show with John when we had you guys on. I said, "Hey, Mobsters Inc." I said the North End in Little Italy, North End, trumps both NYC and Arthur Ave. I still get like hate mail to this day, right? To me, the North End is one of the most underrated places in the country. Why do you think, Paul?
It's like I says, like you said, where's your loyalty to like the mob to this? My loyalty's to the North End. When you're born at the North End, your loyalty's always to the North End.
But you get what I'm saying? Like if you think of Boston, right? You think of this like an Irish town, but it's so rich in Italian history. You know what I mean? It just I hope someday it gets its due and it gets its day, you know?
Yeah. And the architecture for the buildings and stuff is incredible. I got a course completion from Boston Architectural Center on Newbury Street.
That's awesome. All right.
So I could read blueprints.
Paulie, what are your thoughts? And again, I know you don't love to talk about current guys, so I'll ask questions, answer as you feel appropriate. What are your thoughts on Joey Molino and whose highest ranking member of the Patriarca family he's actually dealt with or interacted with? So A, what did you think of Joey Molino? And then B, you have to say the name of a Patriarca, maybe the highest level you ever dealt with personally.
Joey, I met him 3 times.
Yeah.
Coolest guy to hang out with.
Awesome.
It's like being out with one of my childhood friends. You won't know the difference. He you know what I mean? Yes, he's an imposing figure and everything for the people on the outside. But if you're with him, you know what I mean? It's like the same with my friend Jimmy Lavoli. He was the most dangerous guy in the neighborhood. But with me, he loved me, so I never had to worry, you know?
What about the highest level patriarch you've ever met? Give the name. How was that person to deal with, maybe versus even Joey?
I met Jerry and Julo at Fort Devens.
Oh, wow.
I met a bunch of them at Fort Devens. We didn't see eye to eye either.
Oh, you didn't get along with the boss?
No. He said something bad, and I said something back, and then he sent the guy to, beat me up. And I think it was 3 months later when the guy got out of the hospital, they sent someone to talk to me.
When you weren't made yet, you were just it
was made. Bobby was already gone. I picked up that beef for the feds with the explosives, and right after 9/11.
Wait, hold on. We got to get back to the explosives. Hold on. So Jerry, the boss, sent the guy after you, knowing you were a friend.
Yeah,
a main guy.
And I was hanging with guys from New York, Benny Alloy, Danny
Yeah.
Piscopo,
Yeah.
Sal from the Pizza Connection, Frank, I forget his last name, John Gotti's
South Carolina?
Gambino guys.
Oh,
They all
shit.
spoke up for me.
And you put the guy in the hospital.
Well, yeah, they sent this stupid guy, Joe Zach. He was like their strong arm, all jacked up and built and everything. He hit me. I told him my knee sits harder. And next thing you know, he's on the ground and I'm jumping up in the air with 2 feet at a time on him.
And you give him a free visit to the hospital. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Let me continue the questions. I got to get to the explosives. At what point of your childhood, and we kind of covered this a little bit, but what point of your childhood did it come to that you wanted to be part of the life? And then we didn't get into this. Why did you want to get into the life?
I really did. I was just like, I was always out just looking for adventure. I was the oddball. I was the outsider. I was the kid, the weird kid that hung underneath you know what I mean? The seats at the stadium, didn't watch sports, didn't play sports, more at home in a museum or in a library.
Yeah.
I'd rather be making models than playing baseball.
Yeah. No, I guess it makes sense. It's just what you're born to do or kind of your calling.
Yeah.
Okay. What about Joey from Danny Stories, man? Danny, shout out to Danny. Good guy. Getting to know him, and I'm very happy he's part of the armchair community. All right. What about Joey Barbosa? Barbosa was Portuguese American. Did you ever do business with any Portuguese gangsters? So, did you know about Joey Barbosa at all?
Before my time. Barbosa was way before my time, but I heard the stories up Walpole. Like the years I was in Walpole, I guess it had the highest murder rate in the country out of any other prison, which really didn't make me feel any better. But years before that, he was up there. And when he said something, guys jumped to attention. And guys that had a lot of notches under their belt. They wouldn't
Have you ever?
anybody.
I was wondering Danny's question as well. Was he like were you ever come across any Portuguese wise guys?
I don't know. I know we had some Portuguese associates and a lot from like down Wareham towards the Cape and stuff like that. And my friend, if he's probably watching the show, he might come in as just in time. He used to handle everything down there for me. He'd drive up, grab what he needed, go down. I'd always front him. Never have money and stuff in the same place. There's like just 3 simple rules to drug dealing, and you will never be arrested.
Got it. Now, I kind of asked this a little bit, but how aggressive was Bobby when he was recruiting, the Patriarcha guys and, guys or whoever under, to build up his team? How aggressive was he with you to come on his team, and did he have to convince you?
The first time, it seems surreal. I was like, I don't want to leave me alone. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm gonna drive my motorcycle. I'm going over. I'll see these guys later. One of them.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next time, I said, just tell me one thing. Are we gonna have fun? And he said, we're gonna have a lot of fun. I said, okay, I'm in. I don't care about the money. I don't care about the prestige. I'm not greedy. I've never pulled an armed robbery in my life. I stick up. Yeah. I've never robbed a house. Don't know how to steal a car.
Well, there's certain things, right? I think we talked about this. There's certain things you just wouldn't do, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you think of Frank Salemi?
The father or the son? Because the son was trying to kill me for a while because he was going with one of the Chuchulo sisters.
So I'm assuming he's not on the holiday card list. So what did you think of the father?
The father, I think if he got killed up at IHOP, a lot of people would still be alive, and a lot of people would have never went to jail.
Good point. Good point.
If they did it properly, he wouldn't be here, and everything would have been done over with.
Wow. So 190, we're approaching 200. For those that it looks like we're getting an increase, probably another show ended. Welcome, interviewing Paul Tanso, former main member of the Philly crime family located in Boston under Bobby Luisi, who's also a friend, and we're doing some really cool things. How about Jimmy Mucker Ferguson, big bank robber, Irish kid? Did you happen to know about Jimmy Mucker Ferguson?
I know Mucker, and I'm pretty sure I met him. I just don't remember. I meet so many people. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're like the mayor over there.
Yeah, you seen them all running up to me when I walk through the streets, and everything's for nothing.
Exactly. All of a sudden, I kept my wallet in my pocket. How about Bertinis? What's Bertinis? I don't know. I get some weird questions sometimes.
Bertinis?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't even know what it is.
Let me see. All right. What's this? Everybody's asking about a penguin.
Oh, when we try to steal the penguin out of the aquarium.
What happened?
For some reason, like they listen to me when I say stuff, people, because they think I am like, smarter than they are,
Yeah.
but I do it out of sarcasm and laughs. So our plan was to go to the New England Aquarium with a duffel bag and walk in the outdoor backwards because they wouldn't notice us.
Yeah.
And it worked. And then Billy Rod jumped down onto the penguin platform. And he hit the penguin shit and he slid from one side off into the other. And all the things are going crazy. Those things are like 3 feet tall, But we didn't end up with them. We had to run out of there. We got good stories like that.
Wow.
He actually stole a $15,000 macaw out of a pet store right in front of the lady, stuffed them in his jacket and walked out.
Jesus Christ. We got a good question here from good friend George. Have you ever heard of Fats Pellegrini?
Nope.
Okay. Let me just see.
I never left Hanover Street.
Were there any other groups in Boston, like Albanians or Russians? Mob.
Like the years Bobby was gone, like when I came back from Arizona, I got arrested by the feds. I was hanging with Frankie Pizzarella.
Yeah.
And Johnny Sincardi, who I love both of them dearly. They took me under their wings.
Yeah, you mentioned the names.
Yeah, and Frankie was like a father, a brother, and a best friend all rolled into one. And if he wasn't there for me at that time, I would have never made it.
Wow. So what about what's the strength of the Italian mob now, your old crew, the Patriarchas in the North End?
I couldn't say for the Patriarchas. I know what I mean? I really couldn't say. I know a couple of associates. I know the guys who's who. If we see each other, we, give one of them, and that's it. No one wants to talk to anybody. No one wants to shake hands. No one wants to be seen with anybody. It's crazy down there right now.
It's the opposite of how it used to be. You had to say hello, or you wanted to hang out. Now you got to be like, take care, comb your hair. All right. Yeah. What about if you if you don't follow Bobby into his family, right? Into his crew, into the Philly family. Would you want to be made with the Patriarchas if you could?
No, back then? No. I didn't like any of them. They were trying to kill me.
So I know you touched on this earlier, but let's clear this up. Have you ever cooperated with anybody publicly or privately?
No.
Ciao, Jane. Nice seeing you. Welcome. Congratulations again on that award that you passed up. Much class and respect to Jane Creek. Mm-hmm. So why do you think you get a bad rap? Because people kind of assumed.
Because I made bail, the first one ever. So they thought, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I took the lie detector test. And then I had to testify in my own trial. F. Lee Bailey called it, I think it was a dead man statement. Yeah. That if they killed me, then they had the right to use what I said against them. The only way they could use it is either with me in person or if I was killed.
But what about Paulie? What about if I show the paperwork?
You can show it. It's all in my trial. No, it really is. It's all in my trial. I testified against myself. You can see it. Read it word for word. But I never ever went in a courtroom and testified against anybody, and nothing I ever said could ever be used unless I get killed.
So the agreement with Paulie was I could ask him anything. Yep. So what do you think? What do you think about, again, there's maybe degrees to it, etc. About guys that were made guys that took the oath, that didn't perform. What are your thoughts on those guys?
I can say one thing, and you're going to laugh.
Yeah.
Rico Ponzo was my best friend growing up, him and Dante Fowler. Yeah. And the three of us together, we were unstoppable because we didn't stop. We didn't know, there was no off switch. You started with one of us, the three of us are coming down hard.
Yeah.
And everybody knew that.
Yeah.
So, Ponzo got arrested after being on the run longer than Whitey Bulger, looking for gold and everything. He really sharp kid. They never give him enough credit. And he got arrested and everybody testified against him. And if you can ever get a copy of the grand jury and stuff like that, you can see it yourself and you see exactly what I say. I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. At one point, they stop it. And the judge says, if you keep doing that, I'm going to give you immunity. Do you know what that means? It means you have no Fifth Amendment right. I said, okay, if you grant me immunity, I'm going to confess to every murder since the Kennedy assassination. It gives me details. I'll empty the prisons. Give me immunity. Put me on a soapbox. I love it now.
I want to ask this because you brought it up. What did you think of the New York wise guys, maybe versus Boston wise guys? Were they the same? Were they different? What do you think?
I thought that the New York guys, I think they were a lot classier than I can't say all the Boston guys. I can say a lot of guys in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
The New York guys, just a lot classier than, you know what I mean? The guys growing up in the neighborhood. I mean, you got some real bottom feeders.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Now we got to get on to the explosives. What the hell was that? Who, what, where, when? Let's talk about that.
We used to build hobby rockets and stuff as a kid, and it just progressed. And I was good at chemistry, and I could figure things out really quick.
Oh, wait. It was saltpeter, sulfur,
nope,
and charcoal.
Saltpeter, sulfur, and charcoal makes black powder,
which is explosive.
Yeah, but that's old-fashioned black powder. If you mix that with acetone, fingernail polish remover,
and it
squeezed all the thing, that makes modern powder. And then you have to rub it through a screen to make it fine powder.
But so I know, like, you were a wise guy and you were a criminal, so you probably could. But saltpeter was even hard to get back then.
No, you can find it at the dollar store. If you read the ingredients on things, you'd be amazed at the stuff you could find.
Jesus Christ. I know you get it at the pharmacy when you either help you take a shit or help you constipate or something. That's how we used to get it. We used to get the remote detonators.
Yeah.
We would make our own M80s back
from
then.
The hobby rockets.
Yeah. All right. So give me what happened with the explosives. I think you got arrested and
my ex-wife was getting high with like a 20-year-old girl and a 21-year-old boyfriend in the laundry room.
You were going to blow them up?
No, I was at work, and she took them back in the apartment, and they seen boxes marked explosives. And he got arrested for counterfeiting money and buying an Uzi from an ATF agent. And he goes, oh, the kid down there. He goes, how do you know? And he says, oh, I seen him in the hallway, and he gave me a hand grenade. So I looked at the judge. Yeah, I just walked down the hallway and give hand grenades to people. These are the things I got to put up with. Every time I've been arrested, it's been on my couch in front of my TV. Every single time.
So you got convicted of that, or did you get off on that?
No, I pled guilty. I told them that's it. Anything illegal you find in the house is mine. My wife knows nothing about it.
How much time did you get?
Huh?
How much time did you get?
They were trying to give me. First, they thought they had me because I had a 37 millimeter flare launcher. Looks like the thumper from Vietnam, and I modified the flares with quarter sticks. And then I put impact detonators on them. So, after 100 yards, it would blow up.
Hold on. This is not after 9/11, is it?
No, this is right after 9/11. I had something like 11 guns in the house and 100,000 rounds ammunition, 2 biohazard suits, Geiger counter, Israeli-made gas masks with C2 filters. I ate the uppers and said I got better equipment than him.
You were like a hardcore prepper?
Body armor suit. I got sleeves, gloves, crotch protector, chest, everything. Front, back, trauma plate.
Christ.
You never knew what was under that long leather jacket. That was my trademark.
How much time did you have to do on that?
Judge Young wanted to send me home on house arrest after he heard me talk. And they already agreed they were going to put me like in psychiatric care. And they wanted to give me 3 years. He goes, no, I'm not going to do that. He goes, I want to send him home. He says, after being framed for murder and all this, and he knew something about the case probably from all the lawyers talking. And he kind of felt bad for me. And I explained to him why I didn't want to use their psychiatrist because it's a conflict of interest. And the medicine they had me on, was no good. And I made a joke and everybody laughed, because it was tested on Chinese hamsters. And I said, if this medicine was any good, it would be tested on American hamsters. And the judge was dying. My lawyer was so mad at me.
And then you're a little bit of a, well, I don't want to say it, but you're kind of an explosive expert a little bit.
Oh yeah, yeah. 2 components. That's all you need.
So the Frank the Chico bombing, right? Was that done by an expert? Give me kind of your expert opinion on what you know about the Frank the Chico bombing.
I never really read anything about it or a report. If I did, I could find out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many ways. You go to any auto part, get an automatic starter. Instead of hooking it up to the starter, you hook it up to a pipe bomb, put it in the shoebox, and slide it under someone's car.
Where's the best place to place a bomb?
In the dashboard, behind the steering wheel, because you get hit with the steering wheel and all the shrapnel.
So I know a little bit where if you suspect you're going to get blown up, you start your car with your
door open.
Blows it out.
Right.
A little that I know.
Right. Unless they use, you ever see those things in the dollar store, the little chimes you put on the door, you open, goes, yeah, you just put one of those on the inside of the door and unhook the speaker, hook it up to a pipe bomb, and when they open the door, they get hit with everything in the face.
Jesus. And then what? If you
dollar stores are great. I have so much fun at them.
And if you have a detonator, you got to be like 25 feet away from the car, right? I know, like nowadays it's different. You could fucking be across the globe, but now
they show on TV, like they throw a hand grenade at the car, and the car flips over 3 times. Hand grenade's like a half a stick of dynamite, and we used to put half sticks of dynamite in the big garbage barrels, the big metal ones. Yeah, and we blow them up like 2 stories high, 3 stories high. But it's not going to flip a car.
Wow.
And it depends what types you're using and stuff. There's so many new products out there. I think I just posted something on forgotten weapons and 15 of the latest weapons made by our government. You're going to see some of the stuff I just put up on Facebook. I'm like, wow, what toys I wanted.
Now, did you, after the Boston bombing, what was your thoughts on that? Obviously, it was disgusting. It was a crazy act. Was that a sophisticated?
I would help the government in any way possible at that moment if they needed me.
Wow.
If they needed me at that moment, I would help them in any way possible. And that won't be breaking my oath to anybody. Because anybody that attacks my country, you know what I mean? Or the people that live in this is an attack on me.
Now, you lived a very interesting life. Street guy, almost dead at 5, almost like an accidental mafia member.
I actually died at 5. I think I didn't wake up for 2 weeks. Jesus. And then when I came home from prison, I had nowhere to live, and my sister wouldn't take me in. It was freezing. It was snowing out. I had no money, no clothes on, just like when I came home from prison and nowhere to go, and she won't come get me. So I said, you don't come get me, I'm going to kill myself. She goes, you won't kill yourself. I said, I'll kill myself out of spite. And I chug-a-lugged the bottle of blood pressure medication and bottomed out. One of my friends happened to find me in the alley where I grew up, and he called the police, and I woke up 2 days later in a hospital.
Thanks, Depot. Let's get to 10K. We're like 100-something away.
Come on, guys. Get that 10K. Joey Love, where are you? You're supposed to be calling in.
We're getting there soon. Did you know Mathley Guglielmetti from Rhode Island?
I never left Hanover Street. I hung in the same restaurant for 30 years. I really did. It was at the top of my street. Juju Matarazza and his family had it first. And then when Juju sold the restaurant to Frankie, he told Frankie, I come with the restaurant.
Let me ask you, what's your biggest regret in life?
My biggest regret? It depends what department. I would have liked to travel more. I had all that money, but I couldn't do nothing with it. What good was it? Well, how many cars can you own? How much jewelry can you wear? I wanted to go places. I wanted to go on adventures and see things, and you can't. You're trapped. It's like being a celebrity. You can't go shopping. You can't go here. You got to look every time you go somewhere. There's really nothing to miss. That's the way I look at it.
John O'Master, local guy to you. Mm-hmm. I mean, not local, but good dude. Hold on. Did you know Fifi Al Silvestri? Al Silvestri?
No.
Okay. Now, another question. Mm-hmm. Who is Paul Tanso today?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm single.
Yeah.
You know, just from everything happening, and a lot of it, like everybody will say, oh, because of the trial and what you went through, and that's really not it. It was the loss of my mother after the trial.
Oh,
Really,
I can tell you, I've suffered a lot of death, suffered a lot in my life. The biggest negative milestone by far is my mother dying. I'm not even closely to reconciled. So I agree with that.
So I mean, that's what started the therapy and everything like that, because I was losing it. I really snapped. I became Tyler Durden.
What's one of the major things? What's one of the major takeaways from that you learned from therapy?
I got better coping skills now. I'm still the same guy. Like if you're doing something that's bothering me or something, I'll be like, oh, please don't do that. You know what I mean? Or I'll try to leave. And if you pursue it, I'm not going to let you do it the second time.
Now and again, this is what I love about you, and I think a lot of other people will agree. You are fiercely loyal to Bobby. So when Bobby decided to go, away from the life, you followed him from the other life, regardless of the consequences. You never rolled. You support him to this day. He does a show, you go on. He goes to New York, you go on. I kind of joked around with another wise guy, and I don't want to say who he is, but they said if he was back in the life, he just needed 5 Paul Tansos, and he'd be I want to know
I wouldn't wish that upon the world ever.
what is the origin? Like, why are you so loyal to Bobby? And I'm not asking in a bad way. I'm asking in a way of envy.
No. The exact reason. When I came home and everybody was looking to kill me, and the people who loved me and my friends were afraid to come around me, I know it's there. I know what it's like. I've been there. I've been homeless. I've had nothing. I come home from prison. Guys that I used to send tack on $1,000 every time I move something, send it to them in prison. I did 2 bits. Never sent me a dime. I come home. No one gave me a couch to sleep on. These are guys that I ate with. I drank with. We spilled blood together.
Yeah.
And they were making a joke out of me. Now it's not a joke no more.
Good point. And the other part is you survived too. The 90s war.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the
70s. There's bad wars in like the 70s, the 80s. The 80s was wild.
Well, the other part though, is, and I'm just going to give my opinion, and people kind of do what they want. I kind of feel like when you're an informant, right? Obviously, you got to admit everything and put everything down. But I can't imagine as an informant that internally there's like a no-fly list. Like, I'm not going to tell him Paul because he was good to me. I'm not going to tell him this one. I'm not going to do that one. I'm not going to do this one. There was a lot of informants over the years, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but other than the 1 or 2 times you got tripped up, nobody ever informed on you. Why do you think?
No, every time I've been arrested, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And every time I've been arrested, I got told on by an Italian guy.
I mean, you got your fair share. I'm not dismissing that.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is you never had that like guy that ratted on you, that put you away for life. Like what I'm getting at is I have a feeling that a lot more of people could have ratted on you and they didn't. Is that a fair statement?
They could have, but they didn't. Like, everybody calls them associates. I call them my friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we made money together. If I go do a drug deal, I don't take a gun with me. If I got to take a gun to go do a drug deal, I'm not going. That's just stupidity. There's little certain rules. If you go to meet someone and he has someone else with him, turn around, walk away. You always tell them where you want to see them. Like, in one of those big garages, on what level you're going to be on. Show up, you tell them you're going to meet them at 12, go there at 11 and sit in your car or somebody else's car and see who pulls in and goes to the spot. There's little things that, never meet anybody you don't know, never make a hand-to-hand with a stranger. It just simple rules. I've sold drugs my whole life. I've never taken a drug pinch. All mine are violence and weapons.
Wow. Now, what about you're a religious guy?
Yes.
Were you always religious kind of along the way, but more of an undertone? Or did you become more religious these last few years?
No, I've been religious my whole life. The whole 9 years of the trial. I used to go by Sacred Hearts Church in North Square. And I go to St. Jude, I put the money in the thing, and I would light a candle every day before I went to court.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you're working on doing some local initiatives, with the church and so forth in the North End. I don't care what anybody says.
It's not going over big. They don't want me.
Why?
Because of my criminal past, they're saying, and it's because I made a comment that they keep throwing fundraisers for addiction. Oh, we're gonna have a barbecue for addiction, and everybody's just politically posturing. There's not one addict there that's getting fed, and none of that money's making it to any resources.
Yeah, you're right.
So when I asked them to how to set things up and for help, they told me they're not interested because then they really have to work for their paychecks.
Well,
I'm not afraid to say that. There's a lot of bad people up City Hall.
You kind of being a former street guy, fentanyl, it's bad news, man. It's bad news. And one of the things I always talk about, and it's upsetting to me. And I love the Italian culture. Anybody who knows me, I live, breathe, and will die it. Right. One of the challenges I think in Italian culture, drug abuse and mental illness often gets swept under the rug. It's like the black-headed, the black sheep, or the hey, let's push it aside.
It's a dual diagnosis now too.
Yeah,
that's the way my doctors started treating it. Like I had a great Dr. Ralph was a great PTSD specialist. Yeah. And then I had Dr. Janice Wagner. I picked it because of the opera. That's my favorite opera.
Yeah, there you go.
And I had her. She helped me with childhood traumas. And as I've been going along, it's just I've been hitting the right people, And I mean, I'm not any more or less religious. I still say my prayers at night when I go to bed. I keep a copy of the actually Father Mike Della Penna grew up with me. He lived across the street from the church. He's head of the parish now, and we had a great time at Christmas Mass. He actually stopped the procession. It says, "Hey, my oldest friend, Paul Tanso." But yeah.
What about? Tell me one thing you missed from the streets. You got to miss one thing, Paul. One thing. What is it?
Busting balls.
The camaraderie, right?
But no, I torture people. You see the way I go. I know. And you see the show, it's always comments with me, but I've been like that since I was shy. It wasn't that I was mean. It's just my tongue's like a sword. I'm just quick.
What about we asked last show, but it was a while ago. Might have changed. You could have dinner with anybody wise guy, dead or alive. Who would it be and why?
Sam Giancana.
Wow, I didn't see that come. Why?
I just like the way he held himself and stuff like that. And I think he got a raw deal. And I'm a guy who knows what a raw deal is.
Who was your favorite Boston gangster other than Luisi?
Let me see. My favorite from Boston. I didn't like none of them, to tell you the truth.
All right, let me ask this.
I have to stand corrected. Johnny Cincotti.
Got it. Now,
he was on my product when I was a little kid.
Now, inactive or dead. So I don't want to start a war. Who did you hate? Inactive or dead? Who did you hate?
The most?
Yeah, inactive or dead. Yeah.
Let me see. Inactive. Well, like I said, there's a lot of guys on lifetime parole. One of them I hate with a vengeance that you couldn't believe, but I will never say a bad thing about him. He actually sent his girlfriend to talk to me.
Oh.
Yeah. And I told her next time, tell him to come himself. I don't deal with women and children.
Got it. You can text me his name because I know you can't say it. Especially if he's still.
I don't want it because he has a good job and everything like that.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you ever just get a copy of Ponzo's grand jury, and you'll see a lot of gangsters who are active that testified against him. And they still call themselves gangsters. They don't call themselves rats. So who are they to point the finger at somebody else? That's the way I look at it. And I know these guys were at it. Just like I told my old partner, that kid's no good. He just put my last partner away for 12 years. They didn't listen to me. They all want that money.
Does a mob have any shot of making a rebound? It's about to die, but it's also been very resilient. Does it have any shot of coming back?
I don't want to say a name, but let me put it to you this way.
Oh, wow.
I went to one of the social clubs.
Thank you.
And when I talked to someone who was supposed to be the boss at the time, he was playing checkers and losing. He asked me if I wanted to join his crew. I almost go and hold in my comments and laugh. I had to get out of there. I would have never made it out alive with the things that were going to come out of my mouth. You know, I'm like, you for real? You're playing checkers. You can't even win checkers. You want to run a family?
Oh my God.
The Blur was with me too, so he'd be my evidence on that one.
Are you bringing back the ponytail and beard anytime soon?
I don't know. I might let it grow back. I might dye it blonde and go Fabio. Let me know your thoughts, everybody.
There you go. The mob is still alive. If you me coming back by killing people all over the place, the answer is no. I do agree with that statement. So, guys, we have some really good numbers tonight. So I hate that we got a few more minutes left. Any questions, drop them below while we're here. I do have 2 or 3 more, and then we'll wrap it up. So feel free to ask Paul anything. He's open book.
Can I mention April's name for making me all the shirts and blankets and everything?
Shout out, please give a shout out.
I know you're watching. Thank you for everything you made me, and I will look in the mail for another package. Sabrina from Dublin, thank you for all the gifts you sent me. Brian Gus, thank you for all the gifts. And Whitetail Deer Hunter, you want to take me on a hunting show? I'm good to go. But so I don't know
if I remember correctly, like you have some fans.
Oh yeah.
You have any crazy fan stories yet, or not yet?
I have one lady that was calling me up and saying if I don't marry her, she was going to kill herself, and she'll kill her boyfriend if I move in with her. And I'm just trying to talk her down, and it's hard for me because it takes me I'm bad. My hands are bad.
Yeah.
I'm arthritis, and I broke. I mean, my fingers look like corkscrews if you could see them. These hands have been broken so many times. I usually don't work as good, but they're all out there. I guess they're all over the place. These nuts. But fan stories, I wouldn't even know where to start. They did, I help people. I gotta filter them out every day.
Got it. Are you friendly with Richie Gambali?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
And I am very dear friends with his brother Anthony, aka Spitzy. And I love him to death. He's one of the nicest guys on earth. And he will tell the greatest story about me that you ever heard.
I know you kind of stayed local to Boston, but when you served and stuff, around any outfit guys from Chicago?
I don't know. I just knew the guys from New York and the guys from Boston. I was at Fort Devens psychiatric hospital for the criminally insane. Lex Luthor wasn't there. I was really mad about that. I was hoping to bump into him and exchange ideas.
I was gonna say. Well, listen, just a quick reminder, guys. I'm almost there. We're almost there. 10,000.
Come on, guys, you gotta get there for my buddy Tom.
We're giving away. We're probably giving away a shit ton of gift cards. I'm gonna up the ante a little bit. Don't just subscribe for the gifts; those will come. But subscribe if you see value in the channel. We are working really hard, and when I say we, it's you, it's Paul, it's Bobby Luisi, it's everybody that's part of this community.
Yeah. We got our own little crew, you know how we are, Tom. That's why I love you like a brother. To me, you're a brother.
And next time we're doing a live from the North End.
Oh yeah, from my friend's restaurant.
Even better. Ask him: are some of the May guys still millionaires today, or a lot of them broke now?
I think some of them got jobs bagging at Walmart.
Oh no!
If they're not dealing drugs, there's nothing there. The government took over all the sports and everything else. There's a casino in Everett. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you're dealing with people with that, they'd rather put their money up there and enjoy the scenery. If they're dealing with you, it means they can't go anywhere else, and they're not going to pay you.
Yep. What's Paul, your favorite restaurant?
Mine, I don't know. I got so many of them. He always says LeConte's and like that, but there's so many good ones down there. And there's so many of them that just opened up. I wouldn't even know where to start.
And you knew a few guys from Connecticut because they were in your crew, right?
Yeah, the cook, Gentili. We called him the cook.
Now, you think they'll ever find the Gardner paintings in your house?
They'll never find them anywhere. They'll never trust me.
How do you know that?
How
do you know that?
And just from reading everything I read on it, one picture was taken professionally.
You just texted me earlier.
All the other stuff was amateur.
Hold on. You just texted me earlier. You don't read.
Huh?
You just texted me earlier that you don't read.
Well, I read. I can't write. I can't write. That's where I get dyslexic.
I'm messing with you. I'm just trying to get my piece of that
fun off me. Oh, wait till you come up. We're gonna have a good time. I'm gonna show you all the spots again where no one else goes.
Oh God, yeah. So, Paulie, I got to tell you, you're a friend. This is a pleasure for me.
For me too. I don't have many friends, but the ones I got, I love, Tom. And you're on that list.
I agree, and I got to tell you, I get down sometimes because you work hard on the show, you try to do stuff. I had a little bit of a rough go with some other creators and some other stuff going on, and I got a little I'm not gonna lie, kind of blew the wind out of my sails. But then we came strong. We got Sammy. We did I don't know if you saw the one with the Mafia Made guys. We had Bobby back on, which was happy too. Now we have Paul Tanso, so I feel reinvigorated. We're gonna get to 10,000 subs. Next stop is gonna be 100,000, and there's nothing that's gonna be stopping us. And you're all along for the ride. Now, we're going to wrap it up. Paulie, I'm going to give you the final words before we wrap it up.
All right. Hey, everybody, watch Tom's show. Armchair MBA. He's like a brother to me. He's going to be a lifelong friend, and he won't be able to get rid of me even if he wanted to.
Love it. No doubt. Thank you, everybody. And check out the Bobby Luisi show.
Yep, and the Bobby Luisi show.
Specifically.
And we actually have a Paul Tanso coffee mug now. So.
Love it. Order the Paul Tanso coffee mug. And thank you, everybody. We'll see you at 10,000 subs.